Welcome to Twin Flame Q&A Tuesday. All right, so for the third time, I'm having miraculous energetic glitches with the software. I put it down for 1 p.m. my time and it says 3 p.m. I don't know, but we are here. Hopefully you're here live. I'm so excited. I have this call prepared. This is Twin Flame Q&A and we are doing harnessing your sexual shadow to manifest your twin flame. So I wanted to just give you a little heads up if you don't know. We are going into the new moon in Gemini, and this month is all about allowing a rise of your subconscious hidden desires. And so I wanted to use this as an opportunity for you to, one, realize how powerful your hidden desires are, two, learn how to use these hidden desires to manifest your twin flame, and three, learn how to really decide or to diagnose what your desires are, because they're hidden. And so how we find and look underneath our skirts and see what's hiding there. So let's take a few deep breaths, and I'm going to light a little candle here in the Temple of Aphrodite. We are just a day and a half away from the new moon, I guess around 2 days away. It's happening, actually, sorry, 1 day away. It's happening tomorrow, and that's the 13th at 12:34 PST. So let's call in this last little bit of the new moon, and let's dive in with healing our sexual shame and shadow and using it for good. So I'm going to dive in with 3 ways to activate your twin flame union with shadow sex. The first way is to claim it and don't shame it. So what happens if we don't want to look at our hidden shame? What is it if we don't want to actually look at what is really in our sexual field, what is really in our desires, period? It could be desires for sex. It could be desires for connection, for wanting to be seen, for money. You know, there are a lot of people who have a desire for financial wealth, but they're not willing to own it because they have a subconscious or conscious thought that money is the root of all evil. Same thing of, you know, sometimes in our subconscious mind, we want a certain type of person who really is loving and supportive, but then there's a part of our ego that's like, I need the cool person, or I need the popular or the financially, you know, superstar person. And then we fall in love with somebody who's not what our ego wants. So claim it, don't shame it. When we access our shame, when we access our shadow, when we access the parts of ourselves that may be even a little bit messy, like the inner child who is for real. You know, a lot of the high level women that I work with, they run 6-7 figure businesses, or they work for companies, and they have a lot of responsibility and pressure to manage a big movement and mission. And what happens so often is that they put their inner child to the side, like kind of like check into daycare. Mommy's going to work. Mommy's going to rock it and be really powerful. So many of our powerful female leaders will separate from their divine feminine energy, which is associated with the divine child and with passivity, vulnerability, emotions. So they'll kind of zip up their lower chakras in the emotional center and just go to work and be that warrior goddess. What's important is for us to actually allow our warrior to be present with our child, with the weakness or the vulnerability, because it's really not weakness, it's power. Our insecurity, it's there anyways. We can't, even if we suppress it or put it to the side, it is there. A woman who is like, I'm going to meet the hottest guy, or I'm going to have like a powerful man in my life. I need a man who can handle all of me. What she needs to actually do is say, yeah, I need a man who can handle all of me, my power and my softness and my days where I don't feel so great about myself. Yes, me and my stilettos and makeup and everything, that's great. If he likes me there, that's great. He also needs to love me when I'm wearing my sweatpants and I look like, you know, regurgitated, something that the cat spat out because I didn't, you know, really self-care today or whatever it is. So claim it, don't shame it. Allow your desire to be loved, to be present. Allow your desire to be wherever you're at in your sexual explorations. You know, we've been so conditioned by the Catholic Church that, you know, we are meant to be these robotic sex people. Marriage, you got the ring, monogamy, you know, sex missionary style, couple times a week. There's so much conditioning about what love should look like. And even New Age spiritualists, twin flame lovers will regurgitate what the Catholic Church programmed them to think is right and think is sacred. And that's fine. If you are a monogamous, you know, sex, vanilla sex, once or twice a week, 4 times a week, whatever it is. And if you want that, if it feels good, please, you know, if that is your way of expressing your divinity, then great. And if it's not, if you are somebody who wants to have deep exploration and play, maybe you want to experience multiple lovers, or you want to have, you know, like in San Francisco where my partner and I, the Bay Area where we met, there's like a play party every single weekend. And we have a lot of high level coaches and friends that teach sexuality. And so we've been invited to different play parties and, you know, been around some of the world's most tantric masters. And so what happens in these spaces is your mindset really shifts. You go, wait a minute, if this is a safe container for me to just be naked or be me or to look, or, you know, as long as there's sacred consent and there's a container to kind of play by different rules, all of a sudden we can realize, wow, I've been so conditioned to believe that this is wrong, but it actually feels really right and really normal. One of the things that my partner and I love to do is just be naked. Like, it is really healing for us because we love to be naked with ourselves. We love to be naked with each other. And we love to be naked with our soul family when there's a really safe container for that. And some of you who love nude beaches, you're all about that. But, you know, for me, it was actually really uncomfortable to get naked. I thought, you know, I'm not like a hippie, you know, I'm not, I mean, look at me, I am a hippie, but it took me a long time to get very confident in my nudity and to feel safe around especially certain types of people. So when we let our shadow side out and we unveil our bodies, whether it's in a safe space with our partner or if it's in a safe space with a group of, you know, the same sex or the opposite sex or whatever, unveiling physically can be a great space to turn the light on to our shame instead of hiding it. And that can create deeper bonds in our community. I believe that if we want to really come into community together, we actually have to unveil more of who we truly are, first to ourselves and then to our community, including our sexuality. I believe that the new twin flame communities, the new earth communities, are going to be much more sex positive, allowing different forms of sexuality, defining things in a totally different way or not defining them at all. But I wanted to give you 2 quotes that you may want to write down. These are really, really powerful. And for those of you who are just showing up, thank you for joining. We had an issue with the link. So hopefully you are ready to dive into these 3 ways to activate twin flame union with shadow sex. So the first quote is, nothing dark exists in the light. So nothing dark exists within the light. So we may have a judgment of like, you know, this is kinky, this is lower vibrational, this is satanic. You know, I have people commenting on, I just think it's so funny, people commenting on YouTube, you know, they're like, Mary Magdalene, you know, if you believe in her, you're satanic, that's satanic. Or, you know, your tantric practices are satanic. And I'm like, Satan, Saturnian energy is part of all of the planetary system, the cosmos. We have that aspect within us. It's when we actually give up our Saturnian wisdom and we vow and give our power to an organization like the church, then usually, you know, the Saturnian energy ends up turning on us and our priests end up molesting us. And if you don't know it, all of the Catholic Church, their obelisks actually align with the star system Saturn, and they have a lot of symbolism that does align with Saturn. So it's just interesting that that whole religion is a Saturn worshiping society. You can follow David Icke and see his videos on that, on Saturn. So the second quote that I want to wrap up, the first way to activate twin flame love is this quote: "My shadow is sexy in the light. My shadow is sexy in the light. So think about all the shame that you might have been hiding, all of the fear, all the stories about who you might be if you really let your freak out of the bag or your desires run wild. What if all of that energy that you were like, and as a society, we were trying to push down, what if when we bring it to the light, instead of, pedophiles and satanic creepiness, what if we brought it to the light and it was sacred Saturnian energy? And if we brought it to the light and that the dark, kinky stuff would actually be part of our whole experience. And I apologize, we have a plumbing issue. So if you can hear a plumber yelling on the outside of the door, but we're bringing this subconscious stuff to the light. So it makes sense that there are people who might be triggered by this conversation. All right. So let's all let our freak flags fly and let our pussycats out of the bag. And if you'd like to post in the comments, this is something I'm still learning about, but if you want to post in the chat, I think I can still reply to your comments. But I'd love to hear, what is one source of shame for you that you've been struggling with? Maybe it's like something that you want to try with your partner, but you're afraid to bring it up, or maybe you're just really uncomfortable, wearing a certain type of clothing in front of people, or just something like that you've noticed maybe even in the last week where you've been walking around with shame and you're really ready to let go of it. So that's what this whole new moon is about. By the way, if you haven't registered for the new moon, go over to aphroditeuniversity.org/new-moon, because that's where we are going to be doing a twin flame kundalini activation. We're going to work on revealing some of our, or we're going to be setting our goals by revealing some of our subconscious desires for the month. So please do join us tomorrow night at 5 Pacific. It's totally free. Okay, so the second way to activate your twin flame union by working with your shadow sexuality is to express yourself at the Fish Chakra. The Fish Chakra is really a place where we put our subconscious desires out to the universe, out into our conscious field. So, for me, it took a long time to share some of my desires with my partner. I was like, oh, you're going to think this is weird. And then now that I've opened up my fifth, it's completely normal, completely natural. I see that he's very responsive. Sometimes he's a little bit like, I'm uncomfortable with that, but he's very patient and compassionate. And sometimes he's really thrilled. He's like super excited to try things out. And, it just feels really freeing. So if you want to call in your twin flame and you have a closed chakra, it's not going to work. You're going to call in a totally different type of person. So women who really want to call in their twin flame over the next 12 months, you will want to practice expressing your desires, not just to who you think is your twin flame, but to everybody. If you feel uncomfortable in a situation, speak that. If you want something, speak that. If you don't want something, speak that. Setting a boundary with your external world will create an internal world where you feel safe, empowered, and loved. And this goes to all levels of expressing to a person what you want from your Fish Chakra, but it also goes to expressing to the universe what you want, really stating your affirmations, declaring what you want, not living from fear, not living from worry and doubt, but really making it happen. So if you can share your desires without fear and with love and acceptance towards yourself, so will your twin flame. I'm going to say that again. If you can share your desires with love and acceptance with yourself, and then share that with your twin flame will honor and respect that. So you might be saying, Amanda, well, what if he doesn't like that? What if he thinks I'm weird and he runs? Well, good. That's not your twin flame, or it's not for now. Whatever desire you have, whether it's I desire to launch my business, or I desire to go out more and spend my time away from my twin flame. One of the clients I'm working with right now, she is kept so tightly in her relationship. She's like, I don't know if it's my twin flame or not, but he always wants me around the house. He wants me to help with his business. We don't really go out with other people because he's jealous. And it's like, well, is that what you want? If not, you need to do what you want. And if he's not comfortable with it, then it's really not a fit. So who here is ready to claim their desires, put those first, and put it out into the universe? The women who are not willing to do that, I'm sorry, but those women will not get the result of their twin flame. when we play as cowards, when we settle for less, when there is a misalignment, when we're not willing to claim our yes, that is not going to lead us to a twin flame union. When we do these things, when you say yes to yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit, your sensuality, your aphrodisiac wisdom, you will for sure call in a true mirror of twin flame love. So the third way to activate twin flame union love with your shadow sexuality is to ignite the twin flame fire, is to really ignite that desire inside of yourself. So desire is what ignites the twin flame fire. So many women are conditioned to say, well, when I meet my partner and we get married, then, you know, the saying is like, first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby and the baby carriage. It's like these sequences that we're taught, right? If I have this, then I'll live my happily ever after. It's actually the opposite way. When we live our happily ever after and we are able to really enjoy our own reality, enjoy our own sexuality, our own power, and we're really fruitful in our own sacred sexual energy, and we're not afraid to put that out there in all directions. We're not afraid of being tortured or abused or raped because we are embodiments of the goddess. We are showing the universe that we're ready for twin flame love. So for those women who have had negative experiences with men, who have, you know, been raised, you know, in this rape culture. I was raised in the rape culture like you were. I think every single woman experiences, you know, some hesitation of really putting their sexuality out there in a way that feels in alignment, because it's like there's so much resistance. There's so much shaming and fear of what could happen. And I totally get it. I mean, I remember a few years ago, I went on this pilgrimage to meet my twin flame. And of course, had such amazing synchronicity and flow. It was only, I think, a month later that we moved in together. But this journey of, I remember one night I was on this pilgrimage and I faced persecution, and somebody threw a watermelon at my car. I was staying in an Airbnb, and I told the woman I'm a twin flame matchmaker. I help single spiritual women call in their twin flame, and her daughter told the stepfather, or not the stepfather, but her ex-husband, her father, that yeah, there's a witch staying in our mansion, because it was this beautiful historical mansion I was staying at. So in the morning, I wake up with this screaming man saying, I don't want a witch in my house. You know, it was a divorce they were going through. Anyways, then I go to my car and like there's cracked glass and the mirror is missing. And I have, luckily I was able to pop it back on and the crack wasn't so bad. So I drove away that day in shame and go to this car wash. And I'm like, the car wash still didn't clean my car. So then I go to a gas station and I'm just like, fuck this. I am not going to be mistreated. I'm not going to be afraid of who I am. The reason I was at this mansion at the Airbnb is I was doing a photo shoot and this photographer was supposed to come, and it didn't happen because the woman was like, no, my husband doesn't want, you know, a male photographer. So anyways, long story short, the reason I've had some blocks in my branding is I've had to face this male persecution energy from the Middle East for many, many past lives. I'm still working on getting my photo shoot upgraded. But anyways, long story short, I'm at the car, I'm getting gas, and these two gorgeous men come up to me in Laguna Beach. If you don't know Laguna Beach, like every man there is more handsome than the next, a healthy surfer. And so these two guys come up and I'm like doing my windshield, and they're just like, oh man, like I can, you know, you're not going to get it off like that. They were saying it in a really nice way, but they're like, let us help you. And I was like, okay. And I like basically realized for the first time in my life that I was ready to receive help from loving men, because I'd had so much pain and persecution from dark men. It's like, well, why not allow, it's just a car wash, you know, like they're just doing my windshield. But the thought in my mind is like, well, what if, because it was late at night, you know, it's probably like 11 or something, like, what if these men take advantage of me, or, you know, like something bad happens, even though it's on Highway 5 or 101, in the, you know, many, many people around by the beach. But anyways, I took a really long wind to express how many of us were afraid to express our desires because we're even afraid that if the right type of energies come in, we still won't be able to receive it because we have these old persecution and trauma imprints that are ridiculous. They don't make sense in present time. So if we can really call in and allow an alignment, can our desires become fuel for our twin flame? Yes, they can. So an affirmation that I've written down is, my desires align me with my twin flame. My desires align me with my twin flame. My desires align me with my twin flame. So the mistake in the past that I think a lot of us women have made is, my desires get me in trouble. My desires got my aunt pregnant. My desires got me arrested. My desires got me outcasted. My desires got me hung or burnt at the stake. You know, this lifetime, past lives. And so when we create these affirmations of, my desires align me with my desires align me with my twin flame, that's much more of an alignment. The old story, it was based on the past. Yes, women have come out of patriarchy and we are here now. We are safe. We get to create our world. So in summary, the three powerful ways to activate our twin flame with our shadow sexuality is to claim it and not shame it. Just be completely okay with who we are. Let our kinky, wild, free-willed sides come out, because if they don't, I mean, I was listening to, and Jack and I talk about our families, you know, these kind of Christian goody two-shoe families. And it's like someone in the family cheated with the sister-in-law, and like that split up and created divorce. You know, there was abuse, there was sexual trauma, you know, all kinds of drama, because they were so religiously trying to adhere to these unrealistic suppression ideals. And honestly, I don't think it works for anybody. I don't know. I mean, I don't put anybody down if they're really happy being in the suppressed Christian culture. And if that does not work for you, you should absolutely not feel guilty. The second way, and we went through the affirmation, my shadow is sexy in the light. The second way is to express yourself verbally from your fish chakra and really put yourself out there. Be the self-love test. Express what you want and see if anyone sticks, because you only need one twin flame, right? I was really afraid, oh my God, I'm going to turn guys off. They're going to think I'm weird, but I just let my freak flag fly. I didn't have anybody. It was like 10-foot pole, literally on the dance floor. I would have a 10-foot pole around me. And I remember I had a guy that I was dating for a while. I knew he wasn't my twin flame, but he said, you know, he was a DJ, and he was like, it's funny, when you show up on my dance floor, you're one of the most amazing dancers, but there's a 10-foot field of your aura where no one will step in. And on that same dance floor, several years later, I had that 10-foot pole. No one was dancing in my space. And Jack came in and he held my hand and looked at me, and we danced, and we've not let go ever since. So let yourself just clear out whatever doesn't align with your inner freak, because your inner freak is actually Goddess Aphrodite, Isis, Ashtart, the sacred divine feminine in her primal Aphrodite praxis. She's the primal rewilded goddess. It's beautiful. You are beautiful. There's nothing wrong with you and your sexual deviancy. The third way to activate your twin flame union with your shadow sexuality is aligning your desire with your twin flame fire, really allowing your sexual desires, your desires for life, to fuel up your twin flame energy. Really having a practice that I have found to be the most helpful is to manifest with orgasm and to really become your own bride, become your own lover. I'm going to be doing a retreat in September. It's called the Twin Flame Bridal Shower, where women become their own bride. We get our juicy, sacred bridal energy. I think of the Twin Flame Bridal Shower almost as this like female ejaculation energy. We don't actually do that, but it's just really a sacred ritual to state our self-marriage vows and get really clear on what we're here to call in. And we do a purification ritual, spa bathing rituals where we release old lovers, old sexual residues, and old imprints. So yes, having a space to really marry your own desires and creating that safe space is so incredibly powerful. I wanted to close with sharing one mistake that people make when working with their sexual shadow. And I've made this myself. So for those of you who practice some form of orgasmic manifestation, I call it manifest with orgasm or masturbation, where you're actually healing yourself with your own self-love and allowing fantasies to just be played out and letting go of, any stories about, oh, what turns me on is wrong, but just, really going for what turns you on and allowing a healing through that opportunity. So I teach how to do manifest with orgasm or masturbation in a very specific way. So it's got a few more like nuts and bolts, but the gist of it is self-pleasure and fantasy. So I wanted to speak to those of you who are practicing a form of manifest with orgasm because it really does work. It's really powerful, but there are some major ways that people go wrong, and it can hold you back. It can set you back by years if you do it wrong. So I wanted to bring up this number one mistake is when women project that they know who their twin flame is, and they will use sex magic as manipulation. They'll try and put a love spell on someone they think is their twin flame who is not in full agreement with this. The person will be saying, I'm not ready for you, or they won't even be talking to the person. They won't be using, like we said in step 2, or the second way is saying from the Fish Chakra, I like you, you're my twin flame, let's do this. Instead, they're like, well, they're married, or I'm married, or, there's no communication saying like, let's do this. And instead of being really like in alignment, they'll have this whole sexual fantasy thing and project their desires in through a hidden space. And that can create negative karmic cords. It can create an agreement where you tell yourself, I can't have my twin flame except for in this like deviant, creepy way, or I shouldn't say creepy, but, like underground way. And then what can happen from that is for lifetimes, they can manifest, a twin flame who cheats on them, all these kind of things where it's not like a clean alignment, or a twin flame who comes in, but then he has to go follow his soul purpose and goes and marries somebody else. So when we really claim what we want and we call that in and we're really open to who it is, we can use people for symbols. Like if you want to, like if you're turned on, oh, I met somebody, but I would definitely recommend to not put energy in their field. And I teach how to do this in some of my courses at Aphrodite University. On a deeper level, there's a lot to navigate with manifest with orgasm. And at the same time, it's a great practice that you can get started on by using your intuition. But that was the number one mistake I wanted to put out there right away. So a couple of announcements. We do have the new moon ceremony tomorrow, aphroditeuniversity.org/new-moon. The other piece is, I've been working with high-level mentors for several years, probably the biggest leaps in my life I've ever taken were with high-level mentors. And one of my mentors recently shared today, he said, people don't get results unless they really invest in themselves, or they don't get the results as quickly if they don't invest in themselves. So I just wanted to put it out there for those of you who are like coming to really learn all of these things on YouTube and the free things that I do. I want to let you know that I'm so glad you're here, and I want you to soak up as much as you can. And I also don't want to mislead you and say that this is the full level of what you can be getting from my work. I want to really honor the work that I have for you, and I want to honor you in letting you know that I have a much higher level of work that can help you exponentiate and really break through a lot faster than just going through the slow work. So the women that I work with, they are high-level women who are committed to calling in their twin flame in 6 to 12 months or less. They're women who are willing to do the work, not only kind of watching videos and doing things on their own, but they're also really ready to implement all of this work in their lives and do it in a community setting and do it with a mentor who is going to possibly bring up some of your biggest not fears necessarily, but that too, but who can see into your biggest blind spots. Because when we do this work alone, we have the spiritual ego. We often have little games that we play to get around things. So if you've been single and you've been wanting your twin flame for many, many years, and you're just, going on all these videos, you're watching different mentors, and you're trying to soak up all the free wisdom, especially those of you who are coaches or who plan to be coaches, I want you to really listen in and feel in if you feel it's in alignment to be just doing kind of the smaller day-to-day types of things, or if you are really ready to up level and get the higher vibrational level support. So often women feel not good enough. They feel not good enough to charge what they're worth and to go on and do their own businesses. And to be coaches, healers, practitioners. And so they don't hire the support that they need to get there. They don't hire the support they need to be the best selves. And I have never, ever, ever found a woman who has a successful, financially thriving practice, business, who doesn't invest in herself. I have invested almost $100,000 in my blissness education, my healing practitioner. Becoming a twin flame matchmaker has been quite a financial investment and leap. And while I love to give out to as many people as I can serve, I also notice that the women who just come for the freebies, they don't get the full level of success because there's not a full investment in it. There's not a full energy exchange. And I'm sure if you're a coach, you know that as well. You see your fans who maybe get the $10 ebooks, they get some results. The women that show up for the high level programs, they are having these massive transformations. The more I see this happening, I'm noticing a divide in my world where I have women that are spiritual that don't invest in themselves, and they're not getting results, but they're getting very higher dimensionally grounded. They're in the 5D, but they're not getting their twin flame, or they're getting their twin flame and there's a lot of dysfunction, and then there's all this struggle and separation. And they often are really dysfunctional with money and can't get grounded in their businesses. They're not getting the education that they need to be successful. They're not getting the empowerment they need to be successful. And then there's this new level of elite entrepreneurs, high-level women who are really committed financially, energetically, they're committed to their health. And so those are really the women that I'm ready to serve, because the women who are not investing, who are not going to the next level, I always ask, why are you here? Why are you here in a body if you are just here on a spiritual path? If you're just here to kind of sort through your trauma and your drama on a spiritual level, what would it look like if you actually put all of the effort into creating the life that you want? And if you're not in the place where you want to be, if you're not happy in your living circumstances, in your twin flame life, if you're not happy with your sexuality and the relationship you're in, then really doing what it takes to go from here to there. And so many women let money blocks hold them back, and they stay ungrounded for years. That is no longer the population that I am here to serve. There are many other coaches that can help you with that, healing from money trauma, money blocks. I'm really here to serve women who are past that place of survival, root chakra trauma, rape trauma, really here to support the women that have survived through the flood of Atlantis, who are here to give back massively, who are powerful leaders and who know the value of investing in themselves. So if this is you and you are still on this video, I would love to speak with you personally. I would love to find that one woman who is on this video, or 10 women, whatever it is. I'm going to tune into this frequency of the women leaders who are ready to call in their twin flame to align with this other half of themselves. And it doesn't mean it's going to be the dude or the girl or whatever you're calling in. It's on a deepest level, your twin flame energy within, which is healing your sacred sexuality, falling in love with yourself as the twin flame bride, empowering yourself to the deepest level in all aspects, aligning your financial freedom with your spirit. So you're not just making money from the templates, you're not just making money from the corporate job. So many of the women out there that I work with, they really have been conditioned to make money in this really painful, depleting way. And when we work together, we go from the burnout and the bruises to fueling up the feminine, really feeding the water and nourishing the goddess within so that you can call in soulmate clients from this easeful, graceful place. So I wanted to let you know that I would be happy to serve you with a twin flame activation session. This is a place where if we do see that you are a right fit to receive a higher dose of support, a dose of Dr. Amanda Noelle on a deeper level, I will make an offer to you. So this is for women who are committed, who understand the power and importance of investing in herself, especially when there's been an issue or block that's been going on or a pattern that's been going on for years. So go ahead and head over to aphroditeuniversity.org/activate, and we will hop on a twin flame activation session. And during this one-on-one transformational experience, we are going to find your twin flame. You're going to see who this person is, not because it's going to be like, oh, it's Joe or it's Bob. I don't know why I would say Joe or Bob, but they're great generic names. But instead of actually trying to sort through the outside, we'll really come in and look at who are you meant to align with? What is your soul purpose contract? What is your highest excitement to create? And not from the matrix, but really creating it from this juicy feminine space that you might never have even accessed without my support. So many of the women that I work with, they have these masculine matrices. They went to top universities, they work in corporate, or they've transferred out of these, high-level jobs. And the problem is they're still kind of encoded with this masculine pressure. And so when we want to call in our twin flame, we have to have that feminine energy alignment. And oftentimes we don't even realize that we put it in a lockbox when we were 9 years old, before we hit puberty, when we hit puberty, or when we lost our virginity. And so it's really about reclaiming these feminine chapters in our lives and empowering ourselves. So I'd love to navigate with you. I am so excited, and I'm so born to do this work. So please apply for your twin flame activation session with me. And I will see you tomorrow at the new moon ceremony. So go to aphroditeuniversity.org/activate, and I will see you as well tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for a rockin' twin flame Kundalini activating new moon rock cacao ceremony. Let's rock this. Namaste. Namaste. Happy new moon in Gemini. I'll see you tomorrow.